Okay, I think it's time to get started. We do have a request. We need all of you guys to slide forward just like 2 inches so we give the back row room enough that if there's something that happens, they can get out. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome, and we're glad you're all here. We're glad you decided to stick with us through the crowding here. It's nice to have you all here. And as always, we want to thank Keith, standing out there, for taking care of us and making it happen even when there's unforeseen circumstances. We'll get right into things. We'll turn the time over to Noji to talk about some upcoming events.
Thanks, Chad, very much. Yeah, I appreciate everybody's understanding about this place. But you did have a choice. You know, you can either go to the beauty pageant across the hall or here on radio. Which is better? I don't know.
Hey, I'm still trying to decide.
No, you can't enter.
That was his next choice, too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. First of all, I just want to announce, because Carl is in Costa Rica, and we're going to make as much fun as we can of him on the radio, letting him know how much he's missing this wonderful snow and everything. Anyway, so Costa Rica, but we do have the 76ers lunch bunch that's happening. Oh, thanks. Do I wear this? You can. Yeah, just put it on your pocket. All right. So, yes, Saturday, May 20th, and I think that Linda is in charge of that. Where did she go? Linda is in charge of this. Congratulations, Linda. And so we're going to be at the Brick Oven, 1 p.m., right? Sharp. What if you're a minute late? Can't go?
1 p.m., yes.
Oh, okay. Not 1:01.
No.
Not 12:59. 1 o'clock. Okay. Well, we'll try and be there. That's right. You'll have to pay for your own way if you get there late or early. All right. And that's, you guys know what the Brick Oven is anyway in Provo. And it's a fun place to be. We're going to try to get a bunch of people there and reservations and blah, 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 and so forth. The next thing he would have mentioned is the 76ers barbecue. So Saturday, July 8th, don't let some lame family reunion keep you from being there. Okay, there you go. We'll provide the chicken. We have door prizes worth up to hundreds of pennies. And, we've got a GOTA station. We're going to stand up there. So it was going to be an HF station with, tall antennas. You're going to be able to talk around the world, or at least across the street. And last time we were able to talk to a couple of battleships. Of course, on this weekend, I don't think there's going to be a battleship on the air thing. But, maybe you can talk to your brother in Oklahoma. I don't know. Anyway, it's going to be fun. But there you go. Thanks. Oh, and by the way, there are some freebies on this countertop next to us here. So Tom has brought some QST magazines he wants to give away, plus some stickers he's trying desperately to, from all the stuff he's bought, from DX Engineering and RNL. Well, there's stickers. And also, I came into possession of this mobile radio here, and it doesn't really work very well. Well, it works, but you can't really tell what frequency you're on, so because the display doesn't work. So if you want to take that radio, remove the display, put a new one in, it probably works just fine. And I've got the microphone at home, which I forgot to bring, but hey, that's beside the point. So there you go, free radio. It's a Kenwood of some sort, 241, I think. So it's a single band mobile 2-meter radio. And that's it. Michelle.
Okay, field day, guys. We will need help towing the trailers. Towing 3 trailers. And then we are doing a potluck on Saturday. We are doing tacos. So I will be getting a sign-up list for that. Me and Joe will be providing the meat. So the meat will be taken care of for the tacos. So, yeah.
Are we having the snowball fight here instead of on Winterfield Day?
If there is any snow left up there.
If you saw Doug Bowen's picture posted on Facebook,
I
there's
saw that.
a lot of snow.
Yeah, there's still tons of snow.
Still 50 inches.
There's still tons of snow up there, so we're hoping it's melted by then.
We are looking for a contingent location, Bill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right now we're looking out near Faust and that side of the 5 Mile Pass, but there's nothing definitive just yet. So we're still looking around.
Strawberry Lake, nice fish.
That has crossed our minds.
Just have somebody fall in so the rest of you can fish it out.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to help tow, let us know. Let Noji know, or you can reach out to me on through, or even Chad know. But let one of us know that if you're willing to help tow up there.
What are we towing?
Porta potties, the club trailer, and the GOTA trailer, or the comms, the comms trailer, communication trailer.
Okay, so a half ton can pull that stuff.
Oh gosh, they're all really light.
Really light.
Yeah.
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 Oh, okay, good. So Jessica just said that Carl will bring the club trailer back.
We are gonna bring it back.
Okay.
Because he said he would take it up.
Yeah.
Oh, Carl's gonna take
He'll make
it,
a couple trips back and forth with his trailer at night.
and then Johnson's will take it back. 1 down, 2 to go. Thank you, Jessica.
Okay, and then Ham Radio Fair is Thursday, July 13th at Pheasant Brook Park in Linden. Come on out. It was fun last year. A lot of good information out there for this one. Okay, and service, Karen.
Let's take Karen's spot. She'll be here in 5 minutes, so she's lucked out. We just have 2 things for you. First, I want to introduce, I'm Gavin Groh. Gave a little presentation last interface meeting. This is Tyler Foote, and I'm going to just do my shameless plug. If you haven't joined up with UCares, we would love to have you. You can scan these guys right here. There's one on the door. There's some on the outside there, just to quickly get connected up. Great way to get information about anything emergency preparedness. If you're in with CERT, the CERT side, they don't really have a lot of on the radio communication side, but we definitely accommodate that a lot. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tyler. He wants to tell us a little bit about the activities we've got going on.
Okay, so we have a bunch of events that we need everybody's help with. Although I'll say this first. I didn't know what was going to be on the slides. Surprise. We have our weekly nets on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Right now, it's on the 14734. That repeater doesn't work right now. So we're using the 145.47 repeater and the 145.23 repeater.
That middle frequency's wrong.
Yeah,
I messed up.
that's okay.
470, okay.
Ignore what was there. Blank screen. Okay, events though, that we do have lots of, especially coming up in June. We have lots of events. So we need help with the Eagle Mountain Pony Express Days Parade. That one is on June 3rd. And then June 10th is the Day of Days. So starting in the morning, you have the Springville Art City Days Parade, and then directly rolling into the Orem Fest. And then that one is another parade up here. And then in that evening, the Orem Fireworks Watch. We also need help with that one. There will be a training, a mandatory training on May 30th for the fireworks. So if you are interested in doing the fireworks, sign up on the UCares website and we will be making sure that you're aware. But there is a mandatory training on May 30th for that. And then also, if you're not really interested in doing the parades on June 10th, you can help with the Squaw Peak 50-mile race. With all of these events, if you haven't done events before, you're not as comfortable, maybe not really sure what you're doing, you can shadow anyone else who's at the event. So, if this is your first time coming out and doing an event, come out and join us. Like, we don't want you to just be like, I'm not experienced, right? Come out, see what it's all about. Shadow somebody, and we'd love to help kind of teach you and give you practice using your radio just in case we need to use it in an emergency. If you have questions, I would say email leadership@ucares.org, and Keith's got something.
I'm just going to throw out my shameless plug. I just want you guys to remember who hosts this club, what city hosts this club every month, right? We got to fill these events.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Fireworks are a lot of fun to help with.
Oh, by the way, speaking of which, did we hear something about the Orem Summerfest being changed?
We did. It's now called Orem Fest.
Orem Fest.
Yep, we got sued by some city in Wisconsin for Summerfest. So we are now Orem Fest.
I think we should call it the Orem Cheese Fest. I mean, why not? Okay.
Cheese fest.
Yeah. So,
When is it?
June 10th.
June 10th. Oh,
Yeah.
it's
So-
8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah, if you would go to ucares.org, there's an events tab. That is where all the sign-up sheets are. We'd love for you to come help sign up. Come join the groups. We also have different activities and stuff, so we'd love you to come participate. Yeah, go start it at the ucares.org. Down arrow. Too far? Just once.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go.
Now Gavin can take it.
What am I doing?
You're doing the next down arrow.
I guess you're doing this one too.
Well,
I
I think you probably oughta, because you know more. No, Karen would, if you waited for it, she would love to do it. I know she would.
All right.
I think it's a little more personal for her, because she's got a personal connection.
Let's do,
If we can come back. Yeah, I think you'll know why. Let's go.
Do the events?
New hands is next.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, here's that time of the meeting again where we congratulate all of the new hams. Do we have any new hams here tonight? All right. Stand up. Tell us your call sign and name.
KK7 MDY.
MDY.
Sarah Mitchell.
Oh, Sarah. Welcome. We're glad you're here. I had to look that one up because my sister-in-law is Sarah Mitchell, and I'm going, I don't
My
think she
neighbor
was
started
taking
this one. I've been
it.
trying to
So,
get our license and it was going to QR set to check.
yeah. Well, congratulations.
Yes.
And do we have any upgrades here tonight? All right, stand up. Congratulations on taking the next step. Good on you.
Look over here. There we go. You made him get out of his nice chair.
So tonight's presentation will be by Ralph, but do we want to wait for Karen?
We can do hers at the end.
Okay, we'll do hers at the end. So, Ralph, the joy of QRP.
So I'll just
Quite enthusiasm we got there, Ralph.
quite a what?
That's quite the enthusiasm we got here in the crowd tonight, huh?
Well, you know, I do my best. Let's see if I can get this on. Here we go. Come on. Oh, duh. It's got a spring-loaded thing. Try this again. There we go. Okay. All right. We'll see how long this takes to connect here.
Oh, it's an app, but it'll take a long time.
Oh. Is Karen here?
We'll just keep going.
Okay. All right. As was mentioned, my name is Ralph Nunn. I call sign K7RLN. And I'm going to be talking to you tonight about operating QRP. Just a bit of an introduction for me. I've been a ham for about 6.5 years. I was technician class in October of 2016. I got my general in July of 2017, and then my extra in February of 2020. So I did it the hard way. I took the 3 separate tests and did it the most expensive way. But, it was one of those things where, they asked me when I took my technician class, well, you want to do the general? And I said, well, sure. Well, unfortunately, I didn't pass. So I thought, well, next time I'll be more prepared when I get there. When I got my general, I was pretty content at that point. But my wife came along and said, I want to get my license, And after I picked my jaw up off the floor, I said, well, okay, if you study for your technician, I'll study for my extra. So we kind of studied together. So And in February of 2020, she got her technician class, and I got my extra, so that's where I'm at. Let's see, other things. I built my own HF antenna. It's nothing to be, it's nothing special. It's just a wire. It's just a big, long doublet antenna. It's about 134 feet, which works on 80 meters. So built that myself. Yeah, and I love to do parks on the air. It's something my wife and I do together, which has been really cool for both of us. So it's one example of using the hobby to strengthen marital relationships. So it's been a good thing. Oops, go back. Okay, so what is QRP? What is it? What does that even mean? It's one of those Q codes that hams toss around a lot. Anybody know what QRP means? Any takers there? Go ahead, Ryan.
It's usually indicating, so on there you have 5 watts.
Yes.
I did look it up. So ARRL does recognize 10 or less watts. It
Okay.
does recognize this QRP, but the gentleman's agreement is 5 watts or less.
Right,
so
right.
Low power out.
Right. Yeah, so thank you. So it's generally recognized as 5 watts or less. So you go over and above that, then the QRP gods everywhere will not smile on you. So just something to keep in mind there. Well, yeah, there's that too. There's some who believe that QRP should be defined as 100 watts single sideband and then 5 watts CW, because I don't know if there's any type of study that's been done, but some people think that 100 watts SSB equates to 5 watts of CW, so you get out about the same. So, wouldn't hurt.
Yes.
Yes. Right. All right, so I want to read this part. It says there, some also believe that QRP is the true definition of Part 97.313A, which states, an amateur station must use the minimum transmitter power necessary to carry out the desired communications. So, you know, you look at these guys who run full legal limit and, you know, is that really the spirit of that? And some people will say no, but others will say, well, what if I want to go around the world? I need my 1,500 watts. So it all depends on your goals, really. I mean, if your goal is to work DX and your goal is to talk to Australia and Africa and all those places, then maybe you need an amplifier with 1,500 watts. Or, you know, if your goal is to go as minimal power as possible, then that QRP is definitely for you. So, let's see, what's our time here? Any questions so far? Go ahead, what's your question? Why is there triangles? I'm not sure I understand, sorry. Oh, I don't know. I just used this picture. It just came with it. So. Oh, that. Yeah. Can't speak to that one. All right. So one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this presentation is because there are some misconceptions out there about QRP and what it's all about. One of the big ones you hear all the time is life is too short for QRP. And I'll get into that, what that means. And the other one is, and I literally saw this on a YouTube video. A guy said, well, if you want QRP, just turn your 100-watt radio down to 5 watts. Okay? I literally had somebody say that. And I'll describe later why I don't think that's correct. So, Life is too short for QRP. One word, baloney. It is not. If you do it, you'll realize how much fun it is and how much it can really help your enjoyment of the amateur radio hobby. And the thing of it is there are clubs out there that specialize in QRP. And I listed one here that I'm a member of. It's the North American QRP CW Club. So, and another club that I'm a part of, it's the Stray Key Century Club. They also have a category. In fact, a lot of the clubs that you may join like this do have a category for QRP. And that's for those who want to operate that. Dalen, you had a question?
Yeah, you made a comment about turning down to 5 watts, 100 watt station down to
Right.
5 watts. Why did you just categorically say that?
What?
No, per watt.
I will get to that. I have a whole slide because that comment really kind of chapped me, and you'll understand why. So, and the other thing to keep in mind is with regards to QRP is any nets that you may want to check in out there, a lot of the net control stations will ask for QRP stations, okay? So they'll put all of the 1500 watt guys aside, they'll put all of the 100 watt guys aside and say, are there any QRP stations? And they get check-ins. So, you know, that's just another way to enjoy the hobby. So any questions about life is too short for QRP? Yes, go ahead.
Not a question, but a comment.
Sure.
I found working POTUS, if you basically are running QRP, it's a lot easier to get a hold of the activator if you're running as a hunter, because they'll say, QRP guys come through now. So everybody sort of goes quiet and gives you a chance instead of getting hammered. So it's kind of a fun thing to try if you're not sure about it.
Right, right. And yes, one of the reasons why I'm giving this presentation tonight is because I do Parks on the Air Activations QRP, and I really enjoy it. And I'll get to this later, but the thing about it is the equipment is generally less heavy. So, okay, so if you want QRP on your If you want QRP, just turn your radio down to 5 watts, okay? First of all, I have to ask a question. Why would you do that?
That was actually your question. I was going to ask.
Why would you do that? Thank you, yes. And the reason why is because it doesn't make sense. Okay, so I have a bit of an analogy here to hopefully help. So let's say you buy a Lamborghini or your favorite sports car, Ferrari, whatever, and you decide when you buy this car that you're only going to drive at 35 miles an hour. Why would you do that? It does not make sense whatsoever. Okay? The thing about QRP is that it's not about your total output, but more about all of your consumed power. And the reason why this is important is because if you go mobile and you use a battery such as this, operating for 3 hours at 100 watts, you're going to drain your battery real fast. So back to this Lamborghini analogy. So let's say, how can I put this? So the Lamborghini driver who drives 35 miles an hour, he goes to the gas station. Another guy comes along driving a Vespa scooter who can only go 35 miles an hour to the gas station. Who do you think is going to use more gas? Makes sense, right? Obviously, the Lamborghini driver is. And that's the point of QRP, is using low amounts of power so you can operate portable or use batteries and things like that. That is the point of QRP. Okay, so yes. Somebody had a question? Go ahead.
Ironically, to this whole point, the QRP Q code means, should I turn down my power?
Yes, right.
So,
exactly.
it began with higher power people
right.
asking if they should turn it down.
Right, exactly. So, thank you for pointing that out. So, like I said, it's about portability, okay? Operating QRP, you'll generally find, and I'll talk about a few vendors who sell QRP rigs, you'll generally find that you can pick them up like this, or the venerable, the venerable IC705, as you can see, easy to heft. You know, it's not like you are hauling your FTDX 1200 to up a mountain. You know, that's not going to work very well. So, okay, so I wanted to do some quick comparisons, okay, for this power requirement. My main rig at home is a Yaesu FTDX 1200. It's one that I've had for probably 4 or 5 years now, and I absolutely love it. I've worked all over the world with it, and it's been a great rig for me. But I did some power comparisons. On receive, it uses 1.2 amps, okay? And I also found that if you're transmitting at full power, you use about 23 amps. Now, for example, this is a 6 amp hour battery. Can you imagine how long that's going to last if you plug that into your FTDX 1200? Not very long. Okay, by comparison, this is my Yaesu FT818ND. This is a QRP rig. And this uses 450 milliamps on receive. So that's almost less than half of what my big rig does. And it uses, at full power transmit, which is 6 watts, it uses 2.4 amps. So that's a heck of a lot less amount of power being used by this radio. Now, another example that I have here, I have my ICOM IC705 that people are raving over, which I now am beginning to understand. It draws 180 to 250 milliamps on receive. Now, that's almost a tenth less power than what my Yaesu FTDX 1200 draws on receive, just listening. So your battery is going to go a lot farther for sure. And then I found that it uses 1.85 amps on transmit full power, and that's at 10 watts. So it's a very efficient radio. It gets your signal out there with very minimal power. And that, my friends, is the whole point of QRP, is doing as much as you possibly can with the least amount of power. QRP enthusiasts, they relish the fact that the farther they can go out in the world with the least amount of power, that's what gives them a power trip, for lack of a better word. That's what gives them, that's what drives them. They want to see how far away a contact they can make with the least amount of power. I heard it called once the watts per mile or something like that. So if you can go 3,000 miles on 2 or 3 watts of power, you're getting as much power as you possibly can out of your radio. So other radios that are QRP, you've got the Elecraft KX2 and the KX3, which Harry knows all about because he owns one. And you've also got the Lab 599 TX 500. Now these type of radios use even less amount of power on receive. Harry, do you by chance know? Okay, all right. Last I looked, okay. Last I looked, the Lab 599 TX 500 uses about 72 milliamps on receive. That is minimal. That will last you an indefinite amount of time on one of these batteries. And like I said, that is the point of QRP, using the least amount of power to operate as long as you possibly can. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
These currents that you're telling us, what's the nominal voltage, input voltage to set?
They're all 13.8.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't make that clear. So yeah, they're all 13.8 volts. Yes, go ahead.
I have a slightly different read on QRP.
Okay.
And I appreciate where you're coming from, because I've heard that as well, but it's the electrical engineering side of me. I sort of look at how can I squeeze as much out of it as possible.
Yeah.
Not necessarily looking at the total milliamps run, but I start looking at propagation, I start looking at communication methods,
Sure.
whether it's CW or single sideband or FTA or whatever.
Right.
And I love fishing. I'm a fly fisherman, and I sort of compare this whole thing to fly fishing versus deep sea fishing. Deep sea fishing is your 1,000-watt rigs. Fly fishing, you're out in a stream, it's you and Mother Nature, how long you work to catch a fish. But I also, it's a better day when you catch a fish.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to sort of maybe move on. But I found my very first contact as a general, I'd not come to a single meeting. I'd picked up a radio. I hadn't talked to anybody. My very first contact was 1 watt in North Carolina.
Yeah.
On a
Yeah.
705. And when I was done, it's like, I go, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. 1 watt. It was, and I sort of planned it. It wasn't that I just haphazardly, stepped into it. I said, oh, I'm going to use this antenna. I got about this much gain.
Yeah.
And when you understand what the gain is, that's another weapon.
Yeah, that's a whole nother part of the calculus is the gain of your antenna. Absolutely.
So you don't get sucked into like, well, how do you whittle it down to the fewest number of milliamps? How do you make things so efficient that you can run at really, really low power and still, have a reasonably decent communication?
Yeah,
over
absolutely.
long distance?
Listen, we're on the same page. Yeah, that's exactly the point. Right, is making it as efficient as possible.
The thing about the gates too, if you're running 10 watts, it does use a little more power. But
Yeah.
if you're running down to 5 watts, it's minimal draw.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can communicate for hours and hours on, 7-hour battery.
And that's the whole point.
7 hours, 8 hours.
Right. Exactly. Yes, Dalen.
Sort of going along with this, if the conditions are bad, do you just not do it on that day?
Pretty much.
That's a good question, and the answer is yes. Maybe a quick story here. I mentioned that I was a member of the North American QRP CW Club. First time I ever tried and do one of their operating events, I was hearing people all over the country and working them. It was great. Came back the next month, nothing. I even called CQ. Nobody answered me. So the band conditions are going to definitely play a factor in that. Absolutely, yes.
And location.
And location, yes, definitely. All right. Let's see. So let's talk about the emergency communications aspect of this. I struggled with this one, but honestly, you have to factor this in when you're talking about your radios and your batteries and things like that. So you lose all of your power, all of your mains power. You have no power to your house. And we as ham radio operators, we need to get on the air and communicate with people so we can let people know our status and see how well we can help. Well, let's say the big one happens, the big earthquake that geologists have been predicting for years that's going to happen to the Wasatch Front. Well, and let's say you need to bug out. You need to go for higher ground. Are you going to want to carry a 13-pound radio with a huge battery up a mountain? No, you're not. You're going to want to carry something like this and a minimal antenna and a small battery like this. And if you get up to there into the mountain and you can communicate to other states to let people know what your situation is, you're in business. But if all you have is what we call QRO, or high power radio equipment, you're going to be out of luck in that type of situation. So there's definitely a huge emergency communications component to operating QRP. So if you haven't considered it before, I would at least consider something like this for your go bag, okay? Because, not only are we going to need to communicate locally on VHF and UHF, but you know, what if you get on a net and somebody asked you, they say, well, do you have HF capability? Well, you can say yes because you've got a QRP rig and you're on a mountain and you can call all over the world with a minimal amount of power. So that also is one of the points of QRP. So any questions on that or any thoughts or comments? Go ahead.
Hauling the rig might be light, but what about the antenna?
Well, that's the situation where you use one of those end-fed half waves that people love. You know, they all wind up into a small little ball that you can take with you.
Mine was less than 10 ounces.
Exactly. You know, that's something you can throw in your backpack and take it with you. I have what's called a Band Hopper Plus, that it's essentially a wire antenna. All I have to do is just throw it in my bag and grab some type of mast to take with me, and I can hike up a mountain and call all over the world. And that, sure.
So I have, you know, those antennas that you can place on top of your car? I have that same antenna inside my house, and what I did was I placed it under a Titan. And so then I've tested this out before. I can place that antenna inside my backpack with the Titan in it. And so that also allows me to be more portable, and it's very lightweight. And so that's also another option that you have as well.
Sure.
For packing around antennas.
Absolutely.
And also have good signal strength.
Yeah. Does that give you an idea of the type of antenna you can use?
Yeah.
Does that help? Okay. Great.
Depends on the frequency, of course, you know,
Oh, yeah.
the lower the frequency, the longer the antenna.
Right, exactly. And I guess hang on, I'll get to you, Ryan. I guess the important thing to realize is lighter is always better. Because if you're going to heft this stuff up a mountain, lighter is going to make a difference. Go ahead, Ryan.
So a really good antenna, it does 160 all the way to 6 meters, is the Chameleon MCOM 3.
Yeah.
It's not super heavy, it just wraps up on a little thing and it has a 9-to-1 balun on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just use paracord to just waste
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Keith.
If you're doing QRP, you can also get away with much thinner wire for your antenna.
Yeah, that's exactly true.
It
Yeah.
rolls up tighter, and et cetera.
And a coax, because you're operating from much closer to your instrument.
Yep. Yes, all good points. Yes, thank you. Okay. All right. Why would you want to operate QRP? Okay. So ECOMs aside, why would you want to operate QRP? Like I said, believe it or not, it's actually fun. I enjoy it. I really do. You know, for example, you got outdoor radio activities like Summits on the Air, Parks on the Air that I mentioned, also work well for QRP portable gear. Every single, I've done so far, I mean, I'm not a prolific activator when it comes to Parks on the Air. I think I've done about 15 so far. You know, there are guys who do thousands. I've done about 15 so far. Every single park I've done, I've either operated QRP or used this Zygu G90, which is technically not a QRP rig because it puts out about 20 watts ERP. But I can still carry it with me in my bag. And, you know, I've also got antennas that I carry with me. Every single park I've done has been QRP for the most part, and it's all been just stuff I can carry with me. And I have not had one failed activation yet, okay? So, and by the way, when it comes to Parks on the Air, you have to get at least 10 contacts in order for the activation to be successful, okay? I've not had one yet where I didn't activate the park. So you can operate QRP, and it is actually fun. Okay, so how effective is QRP? Can your signal get out? And the answer is absolutely it does. Absolutely. And can you work DX with QRP? Again, absolutely. So just some quick examples that are in my log. I have worked Mexico. I have worked Canada, although I'm not sure how much Canada qualifies as DX, but It actually is a separate DX entity. But I've gone thousands of miles, literally thousands of miles on the QRP signal with a QRP signal. So, and the fun of that is knowing that fact that you're using that minimal amount of power and you're going all the way around the world with QRP. It's great. So.
I worked Antarctica on 10 watts digital.
Chad, I didn't know you were a QRP guy. Way to go.
That was an accident. I tuned up my antenna on 10 watts and started transmitting and got us in Antarctica.
There you go. See? So it's fun. Okay. So, now, is QRP appropriate for any and all operating conditions? Now, this is where I'm going to break with my fellow QRP enthusiasts and say, no, it is not. And I have an example of this. When I was chasing my Worked All States award, I was tuning around on my QRP rig one day, and I heard a guy calling CQ POTA. So I tuned in and listened. I thought, maybe I'll work this guy. So I tuned in to listen, and then when he got to sending his state, I heard did it, aka Rhode Island. And that was a state I did not yet have. So I said, rather than leave this to chance on QRP, switched the antenna over. I turned it on my FTDX 1200, boosted it up to 100 watts, and I worked the guy. Now, sometimes there are going to be situations where you do not want to be QRP, and that was one situation where I did. So, another example is if you want to enter a contest, we've got the 7-area QSO party happening this weekend. I'm not going to be operating QRP. I'll be operating full power. But that is a situation where you do not want to operate QRP. At least I didn't. There are other QRP enthusiasts will say, throw the QRO rig out the window. You don't need that anymore. Well, I respectfully disagree. Will it work in most situations? And the answer is yes, but not all. Okay, and that was one situation where it didn't work for me. So, any thoughts or questions on that?
We don't work field day QRP.
No, definitely not. Okay, so here's an example of some equipment that you can possibly get for QRP. Now there are ready-made examples. There's the MicroBitX, and you can find that at hfsignals.com. What's cool about this one is this guy's in India, and he puts women to work who may be widowed or something like that. So he puts these women to work, gives them a job and things like that. So, that's a cool situation to be able to support this guy financially. There's the Mountain Topper MTR4B. That's an example of a QRP rig that you can use. I've been checking their website, and frankly, I'm not sure they're even selling them anymore because they've been out of stock for so long. So, what's that? Yeah, that's the thing. The only way you're going to be able to find them these days, I think, is used. So, something to keep in mind there. Another website is qrpver.com. There's some kits and projects there that you can purchase. Some other examples of QRP rigs that you can build is the venerable QCX. So if you're good at soldering and you don't have bad eyesight like I do, that might be a good thing for you. There's the mini Pixie kits that you can get on Amazon. I bought one and didn't have much luck with it, to be honest with you. But the problem with those is they're CW only. So if you don't know Morse code, that may not be the way to go for you. And there's also the 4 States QRP Club. They sell a bunch of stuff as well. So that's some ideas there. Now, for equipment from the big vendors. There are big vendors that also sell QRP. As I mentioned, the ICOM IC705, people absolutely love it, and I've actually enjoyed using this rig quite a bit. It has the same interface as the ICOM 7300. So ICOM has done a lot of R&D on usability, and they've pretty much nailed it. So that's a thought. And also, you've got the Yaesu FT818ND that I have here. This is probably my first one. Problem with this one is it's now discontinued, and I hope Yaesu comes out with something to replace it, but it's very lightweight and works well. Let's see, what else do we have here?
17 multi-purpose contact on 3 watts. San Antonio.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Up at Strawberry.
Yeah. So Zygu is another example of a QRP vendor. They sell the X6100. Where's Tom? Tom, that's probably the rig that you were talking about where he was talking.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably it, would be my guess. Okay. They also sell the G106. ELAD is another example of a QRP rig that you can buy. This one is a complete SDR, and it's a little spendy, but the nice part about it is the software that they use to interface with it is as good as Flex, for example. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to use it. And then, of course, there's Elecraft. They have the KX1, the KX2, the KX3. So they are pretty big QRP, a pretty big QRP vendor. And everyone says that the receiver is the absolute cream of the crop from Elecraft. So that's something to keep in mind there. If you want a good receiver, Elecraft is definitely the way to go. Okay, let me see a show of hands. How many of you are technician class in here? Raise your hand. Don't be shy.
Plus or above, or just?
Just technician class only. Okay, all right, so that's what, maybe half of us in here? If you look at the statistics of the different classes of amateur radio operator, a majority of the hams in the United States are technician class. Okay, well, and that kind of mirrors what we have here. So my question to you is, what does all of this have to do with you? What do you have, because everything I've talked about so far has to do with HF contacting. Does QRP even apply to you? And that's a really good question. And to be honest with you, I struggled a little bit on how to answer this one because I had a feeling that there would be a lot of people here, technician class, looking at saying, well, how does this apply to me? So, all right. If you own one of these, it puts out 5 watts. So by definition, this is QRP if you use it in simplex mode. So if you own one of these and you use it in simplex mode, you're technically QRP. But the other thing to keep in mind is, as technician class, if you want to get on high frequency or HF, you have privileges in the 10-meter band from 28.3 all the way to 28.5. So in an emergency, and if you only had a QRP rig, you would technically be able to talk to people long distance. So that's something to keep in mind, that in an emergency you could do that. So, but I guess the point I wanted to emphasize is, when it comes to QRP, you kind of have to be cognizant of, well, honestly, be cognizant of this, your battery. How much capacity does it have? Like, for example, this one has 1,600 milliamps. It's a 1,600 milliamp battery, and that translates to 1.6 amps of transmit time. So If you are transmitting constantly at 5 watts on a 1.6 milliamp battery, your battery is probably going to last a little over an hour, okay? But as we all know, you don't necessarily talk the whole time during an emergency. Hopefully you don't, because other people might need to talk as well. So in a situation like that, you'd probably be about 80% receive and 20% transmit. So, you know, how does that fit into your operating needs, okay? Are you going to be able to, if you get called out on an emergency, are you going to be able to, is your battery going to be able to go the distance? And that's something you have to keep in mind in those type of situations. And that's really what QRP is all about, is knowing the capabilities of your battery, knowing the capabilities of your radio and how much it transmits and how long you can go. You know, do you need to take a second HT with you when you in your go bag? Do you need to order a couple of batteries for your HT? Those are the kind of things that you should think about when it comes to emergency communications. And honestly, that's what QRP, in my opinion, is about, is knowing the capability of your radio, knowing the capabilities, the capacities of your battery, and can you go the distance? So, okay, that is the end of my presentation. Do we have any questions or comments? Go ahead.
Back on your previous slide, when you were talking about technicians having privileges on 10 meters, if you also learn CW, they have privileges on 40 and 80.
And 15 as well.
15 meters.
Yeah.
I knew there was another band there.
Right, it's 15 as well.
You know, when you're in extra class, you just forget all about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. And, you know, it's interesting. I was going to pick on Carl tonight, but obviously he's not here. I was going to, you know, he'd probably be listening to this and thinking, well, you know, with regards to working DX with QRP, you can say, well, that's all well and good, Ralph, because you operate CW, you know. I'm not going to argue that point, because there are videos out there that show you the difference between the same power level, QRP, talking into the microphone as opposed to sending Morse code. There is a difference. You can be heard a lot better using CW than you can with voice. That is a known fact. But QRP does work voice long distance. In the last the last worldwide CQ magazine single sideband contest. I used this radio right here at 10 watts. I was able to talk with my microphone to Japan. And that was on 10 meters, by the way. So QRP does get out, and that's the important thing to remember. But yes, you do have an advantage if you learn Morse code and CW. Your signal gets out a lot better. So thank you for bringing that up. Go ahead.
I think one other thing too that's important is that if you're not tentative to it, then you ought to at least learn about it. That is to try to figure out how propagation is working. What bands work well? Are there tools out there that help you to understand? I mean, yeah, again, sort of forgive my parallel to fishing, but you can just, you know, throw it out there and hope something bites, or you can sit there and watch carefully and see the fish are feeding. It's like, what are they eating? And then make a presentation based upon that. Same thing with the QRP. You know, you can use beacons, reverse beacons. You can look at NCDXF and see how the signals are propagating, what frequencies and where. And so you can improve your likelihood of having some success before you just waste an hour and a half sitting there listening to static.
Or calling CQ and having nobody answer.
Yeah. And, you know, of course, that's what the programmable buttons are for, I guess. But you can also use POTA as a tool. Right. You can look at POTA and say, well, crap, nothing's even coming through on 20 meters. Let's try another one and look around and see what happens. But I found that's even, you know, a bit of a challenge to understand it, get your arms wrapped around it. Now, it's like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is where I'm going to go first. This is what I'm going to check just before I go to all the trouble to make contact.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Ryan.
Only see
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
QRP. You want the station to answer you, only QRP.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about that. Yes.
I think one thing you kind of alluded to, but you didn't really cover. Seems like today getting badges is the thing, you know, for accomplishments or awards. You know, if you're an award chaser, and I got caught up in that for a long time, you know, I working for awards, and there are awards for QRP and NCW. So a lot of these different methods that you can use are eligible for different kinds of awards, and those can be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Okay.
Do I ignore you or do I?
No. I'm going to answer. I have used it before. It didn't help me at all. Saying I'm a QRP station, it didn't help me at all. So I, as a rule now, I don't bother with it. To be honest with you, I don't bother saying that I'm a QRP station, because the bottom line is the remote station either is going to hear you or he won't. And so adding QRP to your message is not going to help that aspect of it. And the other aspect of it is, and the other reason why I don't use it is because sending, when you add something to your call sign in CW, you have to add a slash. So, for example, if I were to send my call sign /QRP, you know, da-da-da-da-it, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-it. That was what, 5 seconds added to it. And if you're trying to work somebody, you're lost. It's gone. So for me, there is no point in doing that. And that's just my opinion. I don't do it anymore. I tried it and it didn't work for me. Now, I'll respectfully disagree because.
I get about 50% of the time I get a QRP station come back.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Harry's had better luck with it than I have. And here is one thing to point out with regards to CW and QRP. If you want to know, or if you want to let the other station know that you are running QRP, instead of sending 7.3, you send a 7.2. I'll let you in on that little secret, okay? QRP CW stations, when they end, they will send a 7.2 rather than a 7.3. So that is how you can know that the station you're talking to is using QRP. So hopefully that answers your question. So that's my opinion on it. It doesn't necessarily have to be yours. Harry's had better luck with it than I have. What's that?
You don't care how much power they use coming back?
No, I don't. Either they hear me or they don't. Go ahead, Ryan. Yeah, well, yeah, there's that too, right. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Ryan.
So same with Harry. I was calling the station. I didn't know where he was. And the only thing he heard, he didn't hear my call sign because there was such a pile up.
Yeah.
He only heard QRP.
Okay.
Even though everybody else was doing more power. So he's like, oh, I heard QRP station. Let's say you first. So sometimes, because QRP is very easily recognizable rather than a bunch of random letters that you may not recognize, right?
Okay.
Kind of like CQ. CQ is easy to recognize, especially like on CW.
Yeah.
And come to find out, he was 2,600 miles away in South America, and I was only doing 6 watts. And that was on 10 meters, so.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
It can work.
As for me, working DX on CW, I'm not going to do it because, like I said, it adds too much time to when I'm sending. So I don't. Yeah, but it can be a differentiating factor. Noji, yes, sir.
You know, one thing I really admire about QRP people is that because they're much lower powered, they're forced to make the very best antenna they can. You see, and that's what I really admire.
Yeah.
So they have to do good antenna work. And that's where I like is technology and antennas. And by the way, we only have a minute left. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and conclude then. Thank you all for listening today.
Thank you, Ralph.
Yep.
What do I need to do to switch this back over?
Just pull it out of there and put it in there. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Okay, we kind of skipped this earlier. Oh, it didn't.
Just escape and then go back in.
Okay. All right, we're going to turn some time over to Karen now that she's here to do a silent key for us.
Just put on your shirt so that people online can hear you. What if I don't want them to hear me? Okay, well, I kind of found out I was doing this as I was sitting up here listening to the presentation, and one of my team members was texting me, telling me, oh, by the way, did you know? And I'm like, no, but I'm going to try and get through this. I did a silent key for him on our net Tuesday night, and I became a blubbering mess. Reed Dixon was one of the first people I came in contact with besides Noji when I got into ham radio. He was a SCAT team member, or an ECS team member as we have the team now. He was the emergency coordinator for our UCARES group, and he just was always telling me about all the neat things UCARES did, and all of the events and the things that you could do with a radio. And, you know, let's get you started on your level 1. How are you doing on your level 1? Well, you know what? You need to be working 1, 2, 3, and 4 all at the same time. Come on, Karen, you can get this done. And it was like, and I did it. You know, I made it through my levels, and I've worked Wonder Woman with Reed. I've worked Squaw Peak with Reed. He's like, now you've got your level 4. Come on, why don't you come be a part of our SCAT team? This is what we do. And so, you know, I was on top of that. All right, let's get all this going. He was an excellent friend. He was a mentor to me. Reed, in the last year, has bailed me out of a couple of situations when I was working net control, because that's my favorite position out of all of ham radio, is working net control. Being in the middle of it, getting all the traffic coming at you, and just going to town. And there's been a couple of times where I haven't been able to hear my radio operators, and Reed would be sitting at his home in Orem, and he's like, I can hear him, you know, let me relay. And he would relay the information to me. Orem, I always call it Orem City Fest, but the Summer Fest that we have here in Orem, he became the net control operator and was able to do it from his home. And he was always willing to help, no matter what, no matter how sick he was there to help you. And I am going to miss Reed. I really am.
Thanks, Karen. All right, thanks to everybody tonight. Thanks to Heath, before I forget, for taking care of us in Orem City. Thanks to Ralph, great presentation. Last we're going to do is we're going to do door prizes. So Brent.
Wait, I'm having a hard time putting the thing on. There we go. All right, thank you so much. And Karen, that was a beautiful, beautiful words that you had to say. We're all going to miss them, and
if anything, you're going to be he put you in a really good position to take his place. And if anything, I could see us saying the same thing about you one of these days. And
Hopefully
so,
not for quite a long time.
no, of course not. No, of course not. Of course not. No, of course not. No.
Unless you know something more than I do.
No, if anything, Joe will probably go before you, hopefully. But you know. But you know, I digress. Okay, so, oh, you had that one coming for a long time. All right, here are our door prizes tonight. We have this really cool antenna switch. Yeah, this is actually probably one of my favorite prizes. Now, last month we gave away M&Ms. You can't say. Can anyone guess what we're going to give away this month? Nope.
More M&Ms.
A Pop-Tart. We have another two-way handheld transceiver made by Baofeng. An ARRL membership, 1 year. And a club flashlight. And then this is our main prize, so I'll set this over here. Oh. Yeah, we don't want that. Okay.
Hey, Grant?
Yes.
I didn't get a ticket.
Oh, you never got a ticket? Okay. Who else did not get a ticket that would like one? Can you keep your hands up for me, please? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is this supposed to be a prize?
Not that I'm aware of, no. Chad, can you help me hand these out to people? All right, Chad's going around. If you can keep your hand up, Chad's going around to hand out those extra tickets.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Do you want to come up and help? If you want, you don't have to if you don't want to. Do you want to come up and help? You don't have to if you don't want to. Just you. He doesn't have to if he doesn't want to, so. Chad needs one. Chad already has one. Oh! Oh. Well, forgive me. I'm not exactly a math whiz. You know? Remember, Joe hit me over the head with an antenna many years ago, so I haven't been right in the head ever since. I like that. Okay. What's your name? Zachary. Okay, Zachary is putting his hand into the bucket. They handed out the ticket. So if your ticket does not get called out, remember, it's not my fault. It's his.
091.
091. Let's see if that's actually mine. 091. That's Cliff.
This is easy.
All right. Cliff, if I can just see your ticket, so we don't call it.
Okay. All right, smile, Cliff.
Do you have the other ticket? Okay, just go ahead and hang on to it for me.
You can go with your bag.
All right, door prize number dos.
084.
Nope, I'll make 5.
Oh, thank goodness. 08. Yep. All right. ARRL membership. That means you don't get it. You're welcome, Tom.
098.
098, is that?
Yep.
All right.
Look here and hold up. Look here and hold up. I still got to get Gavin.
Okay, so we got the club flashlight and the Pop-Tart. I think I know which one's going to go first. Actually, I have no idea which one's going to go first.
083. Oh, no.
my granddaughter will steal this.
128.
All right.
128.
Hold on a second.
Love your shirt. Absolutely love it.
Now you have to eat it now so we know what
All right. Our main door prize tonight is, of course, the Packers J-pole made by a man in Costa Rica. So you know it's of good quality.
Probably a sweatshop.
Yeah, that would explain why Carl's always so sweaty. But it can be installed by any Noji of your choice. Of course, there's only one Noji that I know of. So, you're kind of stuck with them. But hey, it comes with free installation. That's all that matters. All right, and mix them up really good. Really, really good.
1, 2, 3.
Who has it? Going once.
You sure it's not 1, 3, 2?
Going once, going twice, going third, and no show.
One, 0, 5.
We've already got one. The next one.
Okay.
1, 1, 5.
That's me. Nope, I won't take it. Go and draw again. I can't take it. I can't take it. I already have one.
1, 2, 2.
Probably left with 1, 2, 3.
All right, we'll try this again. I don't know, Carl. I think this might be a sign. You shouldn't be in Costa Rica this week.
0, 9, 5.
All right. Woo! Here you are.
Get your picture. Let's get your picture.
Oh, wait, come over here.
All right. Give me a big smile. There we go. There you go. You got about the age of the kids in Carl's
Congratulations.
sweatshop, Belgium.
All right, everyone, thank you so much. We are going to Key West Fly over to Lucy's Pizzeria. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to come out like that. I was trying to.